Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Tiger Tanaka again, bringing you Game 2 of Round 2 of the MTGSalvation Dual Commander Tournament, currently going on. I am playing Asmira Holy Avenger versus a great guy named Tomeetosauce, and he is playing Prossh. We are both going to start off with a mull to 6, it turns out, but, you know, these things happen. And here we go. Looks like we're about to get underway here. So I have a pretty good start here. I have a lot of mana elves. I've got Cradle. I've got white mana. I've got a tutor. You really want to keep hands with tutors because, like I said, Stoneforge is really, really important, and you really want to find her. So, because a game without Stoneforge can be a really slow, arduous game. So finding her is the way to go. So he's going to start off here with a Cavernous Souls naming Shaman, and this kind of throws me off. Because I kind of wonder where he's at, and I assume this means he's hurting for colored mana, because it seems like a strange first land to drop. And it looks like he is. He's just got a Phyrexian Tower in addition to all these green cards and a Tainted Pact. So I'm going to have a slow start here too. I'm going to play Forest to pass the turn. Nothing really interesting going on. So he's going to play his Phyrexian Tower, and here's the Shaman. It's a Skyraider Tribuilder. And now I definitely know he's hurting for colored sources, because not an ideal series of plays, but he's making the best of it. Tribuilder's pretty good. He can find green. He can play another mana elf, or another Caryatid rather. So I'm going to play turn 2. I'm going to play my plains, and I'm going to play Devoted Druid. Awesome card. Really cool little accelerant. So end of my turn, he's going to sack his Tribuilder, and he's going to find a forest. Makes sense. Some depths here, he draws a Grim Tutor. That could come in handy later. And here's the Caryatid. So, and he doesn't have an additional land drop, as I noticed. This is the last land he got, and he got it from Skyraider Tribuilder. So my plan here, seeing that he's hurting for mana, and I have creatures and Cradle and white sources, I am going to cast a turn 3 Armageddon here, and hopefully that'll slow him down long enough for me to pull ahead. And that's what we're doing. Devoted Druid doing its thing, getting extra mana by putting counters on it, and Armageddon. So that'll leave me with a Devoted Druid, 0-1 Devoted Druid, and him with the Sylvan Caryatid. However, I have still not played a land this turn, so I'm going to drop the plains here and pass it back. So board is sort of even. However, I'm pretty well aware that he doesn't have any lands, since he didn't play one last turn, and he surely would have. So he has no plays, unfortunately, and he's going to pass back to me. And I drew an Latimer's Call, which is great, because now I have 2 creature tutors, and I'm sure that'll come in handy. Alright, I'm going to tap our plains. We're going to play Doom Traveler. Gonna up our creature count for Cradle. Tap our Cradle. We are gonna get our Fists of Ironwood, which is it's essentially sort of like a green Raise the Alarm, and you can put it on Asmira. You can put it on their creatures and still get tokens. So I like it. It's 2 for 2, pretty cool little thing. And now I have 4 creatures. So I have 6 mana total, and he misses his land drop yet again, unfortunately. So we are way, way, way ahead here. And looky there, my favorite card shows up again. Right now, not particularly useful, but down the road. So I'm going to attack 3 little guys, since it doesn't look like he'll be able to do too much about it. He can block, which is fine. No pumps, no nothing. And I'm kind of deciding what to do here. I could play the Altar Bone now. I can wait for the Latimer's Call, which turns out that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to the plan right now is to Latimer's Call for Stoneforge end of turn, and then untap with Cradle, Skull Clamp and a bunch of guys to eat. So he's going to play his own Devoted Druid, getting back in the game. He drew a land here, so he's not too far behind again. And I'm going to Aladdin's Call at end of turn for Stoneforge Mystic. Surprise, surprise. So here she is. And now I'm going to untap and do some cool stuff. So down comes Stoneforge immediately. You play it before Tap and Cradle, obviously, to keep your count nice and high. And there's the clamp. And we are going to start putting the clamps on some little sapperling tokens. So Cradle taps for 5. 1, 2, yeah, 5. I can count. And down comes Clamp. And we are going to start clamping. So first is a Doom Traveler, which is cool because it doesn't decrease your creature count. You maintain 5 creatures and you still get to draw cards, and it's great with Altar of Bone, etc. So and that way, we're not losing out on Cradle if we, for next turn. So I drew an Enlightened Tutor here, which is pretty awesome because I can find, well, most likely it's the best course of action is Earthcraft, and I'll talk about that in a moment. I've got 3 mana floating still from Cradle, and here's where Tangle Wire will once again allow me to take a few time walks because it's nuts. Because this card is so sick. I'm a big fan, obviously. So he's going to untap. And during his upkeep, he is going to, I believe, use this Tainted Pact here before he taps for Tangle Wire, so he can get mana out of his guys. And there's the Tainted Pact. Really cool card for EDH. Is all you have to do is not play any of the same named basics, and it's essentially a demonic tutor. So he's going to find Snow-Covered Swamp first thing, and he's going to take it, seeing as he's hurting for mana sources and permanents. So he's going to play a Swamp. He's going to pass, and end of turn, I'm going to Enlighten Tutor. And there's a few options here. There's Candelabra for Cradle. There's a Promise of Boon Ray also for Cradle. But since I can't play it and trigger it in the same turn before using Cradle, it's probably not ideal. Candelabra also good. We could get 9 mana out of Cradle, and filter a few white sources. But really, what we want to get is Earthcraft, since it will turn all of these guys into mana elves. You can tap them to essentially just tap, sack a creature, draw 2 cards. So it's really cool. And there's the Earthcraft. So Earthcraft goes on top. I'm going to untap. Tangle Wire is going to lose a counter. We're going to tap Tangle Wire and Skull Clamp and Stoneforge. And we're going to untap, and we are going to draw Earthcraft. So we've got Earthcraft, and we've got Altar of Bone. And one card that's absolutely insane with Earthcraft is Deranged Hermit, because it's free if you have a basic. You pay 5 for Deranged Hermit plus the tokens, tap for 5 mana. So it's really good. It would be nice if we could somehow find it and cast it before tapping our Cradle, but it turns out we don't have quite enough mana for that this turn. So we're going to float 8, 3 white from our creatures, and 5 green from Cradle. And decision time. Because I could just start clamping right away, but it seems like the best way to do this to get the most value is we're going to Altar a Bone and play our free Deranged Hermit for 5. Now this does bring us down to 1 green, and since we only have a Plains, we can't tap our guys for green. So we have 1 green and a Confluence for green, but this is going to be 5 white mana. But it's still worth it to find Skull Clamp and to start triggering. To find a Hermit and to start just any way to draw as many cards as possible in a turn. Because a lot of things you could hit. You could hit a Voyaging Satyr and a Greaves, or just a Greaves and a Tutor. You could hit Fast Bond. You could hit Garrick. You could hit Candelabra. There's a lot of really cool things you could hit once you just start going nuts. So we will. So we're going to tap our Deranged Hermit. to get a white mana. We're going to use that to Skull Clamp our Saproling. We drew Voyaging Satyr. Okay, nothing, can't really do much with it at the moment, but you know, nothing to scoff at. We're going to tap our Squirrel for white. We're going to use that white to Skull Clamp our other Saproling. We're going to draw... Oh, goody. Look at what we've got here. So this is great. This is totally nuts because we've got our Cradle, and we still have 7 creatures with potentially more to play before we even untap our Cradle. So we're going to float all our mana here. We've got 4 white and a green. And we are going to play our Candelabra. We are going to spend all the white, untap all our mana, so that we have 2 more white sources and Cradle. Since all our creatures are tapped, we can't get white from them, but luckily Candelabra acts as a filter as well. So we're going to drop Voyaging Satyr, up the creature count, tap Cradle for 8 mana, and the clamp train continues. So clamp a Deranged Hermit, clamp a Squirrel token, spend another mana, clamp another Squirrel token. 6 dead guys so far. We draw into Fast Bond after drawing numerous cards, and that is just super. That is just really great because now we can really kind of just play out our whole deck. So clamp a Squirrel, draw 2 more. We're going to play our Fast Bond. I'm going to take a moment to decide the best course of action here because I do have a Ravages and a Fast Bond, so I can immediately start off with that. So we're going to tap Voyaging Satyr for Earthcraft. We're going to play, use our green mana to play 2 more guys, which can also now tap for white because of Earthcraft. We have Boreal Druid and Llanowar Elves. They're both going to tap for white. We are going to Path to Exile his Devoted Druid, and that is so when we Ravages, we clean it all up, and that's going to be pretty huge. So 7 dead guys, 2 white in the pool, 1 green, Path to Exile, spend all our mana floating, Ravages of War. And that cleans up all of his board except for Sylvan Caryatid. And we are really in wonderful shape. So we're going to play our lands after Ravaging off of Fast Bond rather, sorry. And we're going to cast Bloom Tender, Colony Garden gives us a plant token, and we're going to pass the turn. And sadly, those 7 dead guys don't get to put any counters on Asmira this turn, but it seemed like we spent our mana wisely. So he's going to play a Blood Crypt tap, pass the turn, say go. I'm going to tap my Tanglewire and Skull Clamp for Tanglewire. And going to sack a Misty Rainforest, going to get a Savannah. We are going to play a Birthing Pod here. We're going to Birthing Pod Devoted Druid for Eternal Witness. And we are going to use our Eternal Witness to get a Cradle back, which we can play since we have Fast Bond. Cradle is going to tap for 8 again. And since Voyaging Satyr came in last turn, we can tap it for 8 more, getting a total of 16. So the mana is really out of control right now. We're going to use our Candelabra to untap Cradle yet again. We're going to have a 22 total green mana floating at the moment. We're going to clamp Plant Elemental. We're going to just start drawing some cards. We're going to draw a Deserted Temple, which we can use to untap the Cradle and go up to 28 green mana. And now we are just going to start clamping away everything. And here we go. Clamp, clamp, clamp. And of course, we're floating mana each time from each creature, so they're paying for themselves to clamp. Tender adds additional mana. Elvish Mystic, tap it for white mana, use a green mana to clamp it, etc., etc. That way you filter. It's just a good idea to have a lot of white floating during this time, because you're going to need it. So what we're really looking for is a second Sunrise. Play Weather Wayfarer, tap, clamp, and we found it. We found Face Reward. So here's where Safekeeper really shines. We're going to Green Sun Zenith for 1, and we're going to find Safekeeper. And what we're going to do is we're going to clamp Witness first, so she's in the graveyard. We're going to sack all my lands to Safekeeper in response to one another, so that all of them fizzle except for 1, but they're all in the graveyard, most importantly. We have 28 mana floating, 22 green and 6 white. He gets Shroud, and there's Face Reward. So Face Reward brings back Eternal Witness. Eternal Witness brings back Face Reward. We Skull Clamp Eternal Witness, and that's the loop. Infinite mana, infinite tokens, etc., etc. So that's the end. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye-bye.